Hello and welcome to Tech Minutes, Pelham Public Library's videos for showing you how to do tech-related stuff. Today we're on episode 2 for our Microsoft Word, where we are going to be going over our menus and how to export a document to PDF. A really handy thing for our job searchers out there. So what you see on your screen right now, you have several things. You have your document window. That's that white space where our cursor is blinking. You have your quick access toolbar that's at the very top left. We have our backstage, which is under file. That's where you can save and manage your document and print, export, open. After file, we have home. Each one of these is a tab that controls the ribbon. The ribbon is where we find all our menu controls. So the home ribbon, that's where you find everything that you use most often when you're creating a document. So you're always adjusting the font, you're always copying and pasting, you're always making bullet points and such. If you're making a document for school, you can also use styling to help you make a table of contents. So that'll allow Word to help you there. It's kind of tricky to get set up at first, but once you got it, it helps a lot. So that's the home ribbon. Insert ribbon, that has to do with everything that you insert into a document. So our inserting a blank page, or inserting a picture, inserting whatever, that's up there on the ribbon for insert. Even when you're doing your math homework, you can insert a math equation. Not the easiest thing to work with, but it does its job. So the design ribbon, that is how you control how your document looks. You can change how the title and heading and styles look together. You can even change the color scheme. You can make it look like Office 2007, good old glory days, and you can make it shift back if you get bored of it. So that's also for the InDesign tab ribbon. You can also adjust the background of your page, so page color, the watermark, page borders. It's always fun to make it top secret or whatever. So that's the design ribbon. I'm going to repeat ribbon often because it's hard for beginners to get that, use that word in place of menu. So repetitions, practice, practice, practice. So our layout ribbon, that's where we change our margins. That's where we change our orientation to portrait, landscape, the size of our page. So if we're using a ledger, we can make the document that size before we print it. You can also go to your references. It's where you control your table of contents, how to insert it into your document, footnotes, what have you. If you're making a general document, though, you won't play with references or mailing. Play with review a little. Mailings is a ribbon that, unless you're in an office situation, printing out envelopes and labels all the time, you won't use it often. Alright, so the review ribbon. Basically, it's like all the other tabs. You're reviewing your document. So what is that? That's proofing your document, making sure you spelled things correctly, making sure you are using the proper grammar. That's where you're seeing if you use the proper word with the thesaurus. The word count, it's also part of proofing. If your teacher really wants that 500 essay to be 500 words, well, that's how you verify that. If you look at your screen, though, you don't have to go to review ribbon to find the word count. It's also down here at the bottom left. So it's a handy little option for if your word count is that important. It's also where you can adjust the language. So if Microsoft knows you're trying to type in Spanish, tell it. It does its job pretty well. It will adjust itself and be able to tell you if you spelled something correctly, and it'll adjust what it's looking for in regards to grammar. Um, Comments. So in college, when you're working on papers, a lot of times you have to work in a group. So here you can open up a buddy's document, classmate's document, add a comment to it, say, hey, you misspelled thesaurus or whatever. You can also track changes. So that's what we used a lot in grad school with our tracking. Click that. Every edit that happens will be tracked like it says. So, hey you, turn on tracking. I'm going to delete hey you. Now there's a little mark saying, hey, something changed here. So it shows that I made a change. If I wanted to accept the change, you just hit accept, and then it says there aren't any more, and you're good. You can also turn tracking off. It's always irritating when you're finalizing a document and track changes is still on. You'll have to go through and accept all your changes. Restrict editing. So if you're working on a document and you don't want anyone to mess with your changes, you can change how the document protects itself with a password or user. What's next on our tabs is view. So our views, everything that we see on the screen, our ruler, our grid lines rather, everything is here on our view ribbon. You can also see read mode, our print layout mode, or web layout mode. What are those? Those are options that change how the document is appearing. Now down here under my picture there, you'll see that the controls are right on your screen as little shortcuts. So print layout view, where we spend most of our time. Our web layout view. We're not creating a website. Why is it a web layout view? Well, Microsoft Word can be used to edit websites. You can write HTML code or write down some ideas on there. Zoom. So just like it sounds, you can zoom in. You make it to where you see multiple pages on one screen here. You can create multiple windows. Sometimes that's handy if you're created several documents. Macros. I'm not going to go over macros in episode 2. That's a little bit complicated, we'll say. So next off, I promised to show you how to export to a PDF. What's important about a PDF? It's in the name. PDF is a protected digital format. So that's so you can send your resume to whoever and they can't make changes. Once you have something on your document, you can hit File, get to that backstage again, go to Export, and create PDF XPS. We want PDF, so it's going to tell us where we want to save it so we can find it again. I created it again, so that's why it's sort of yelling at me. It's going to open up in Acrobat or whatever PDF reader you have installed. So I can't edit this. Typing away, nothing happens. I can still go back to this document and make changes. So always keep both. So back to the home ribbon. If you notice on some of these groupings, like font, you can see this little button at the bottom right of its grouping. If you click it, it takes you to the classic menu that we're used to from 2007 backwards. So that is handy for those of us that have been using Word for a while. Everything is here. It's a little bit easier to see than trying to figure out what icon does what. If you're ever confused on the icon, just hover over them and it'll pop up a little definition of what it does. Paragraph 2 has that little button, pops up the classic menu. So even style has it. It's not the classic menu, but it is a more detailed menu that we see than what we have. Each ribbon has those controls every now and then. Yeah, layout does. Uh, with every update, they like to change things. Sometimes I remember the old ones. But page setup has that classic menu paragraph. That's the repeat of the home menu. So that's our menus. So that's it for episode 2. Stay tuned for next week's episode. We'll try to do a couple extra 2.5 episodes, and we'll get you notified about that once you hit that subscribe button. So thanks for watching, and hit that like button.